To the Procrastination No More Cookbook Authors Training, Week 1. We're super excited to have you here. I'm Christina. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Create My Cookbook, and I'm also going to be hosting these webinars for the next 8 weeks, so get used to me. I want to send a big thank you to everyone who filled out our survey. It was incredibly helpful. We went through those responses, and that is actually how we developed this entire training course made it perfect, custom to you, what you needed. As we were going through those survey results, we noticed that there was a very common thing, and that is that no one has time to finish their cookbook. Everyone talked about how the time was a huge issue, and so that's kind of how we named the training Procrastination No More. And we really want you to be a success, and at the end of this 8 weeks, you're going to have a published cookbook ready to sell. So, in order to do that, we are bringing in all the experts. We have our very own Caroline Droke. She's our customer success specialist and a designer extraordinaire. She went to Parsons School of Design in New York, and she makes an incredible cheese plate. It's amazing. I'm serious. So today she's going to be helping us on the camera. You will see her in and out of the webinar. She's pretty amazing. We also have Sean Chavis from Salt Shaker Media. Sean has been a cookbook editor and a journalist for years. She has a James Beard Award and a Luce Award, 2 Luce Awards, as well. She knows how to market any cookbook. I could spend the entire webinar talking about her credentials, but I'm going to let her take over for just a quick minute.
Sure. So I own Salt Shaker Media, and we're a company that primarily helps companies with cookbooks and brand magazines. And then I also have a course online called the Cookbook Course, and I teach people how to create cookbooks and then use those cookbooks to market their businesses.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you on board.
Yeah.
So to kind of help you through this journey, we decided to go find someone just like you. So we went and got a guinea pig, but we're going to call her the Jenny Pig. Jen Gordon. Jen she's a mom. She chases her kids out the door every morning just like you are. Has a career in marketing, and she's also dreamed of publishing her world famous recipes from her Aunt Carlene. Mm-hmm. The only problem is she's also a lifelong procrastinator when it comes to this project. So we have promised Jen that if she will do this with us at the end of this 8 weeks, that she is going to have a published cookbook ready to sell, with a store page and everything. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Yeah. And all of my aunt's fans have been just chomping at the bit. I've been getting messages on Instagram. When's it going to be ready? When's it going to be ready? And unfortunately, I have prioritized my Netflix queue.
Which is what you do when you procrastinate.
It is. It's been sitting, waiting. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go through this with y'all.
Cool.
Yes, we're so excited. All right. Well, Sean, where should we start?
I want to start with just some very basic questions. Because I think once we answer these questions, they will make everything go a lot faster and a lot more focused for you, and it'll be easier to make decisions. And a lot of times people get stuck when they're at a decision and they can't decide which way to go.
Yeah.
So if we can answer some of these questions up front, I think it'll help us get through the rest of the process. Okay. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you want out of this cookbook? What's your goal?
Well, my aunt is very well known. She taught home economics for like 30 years. And so she has literally like hundreds, maybe even thousands of students that have gone through her classes over the years that would love to get their hands on one of her cookbooks. Plus, she's very active in her community, and there's just a lot of demand for her amazing cooking. So I want to kind of fulfill that need and also give our family something to treasure, because we've spent a lot of time around the dinner table together, and there's just a lot of fun stories and memories that go along with these recipes,
Gotcha. Well, that's I would call that kind of like a legacy kind of goal for your cookbook. And there are actually a bunch of different goals that people can have. I just kind of want to go through those for everybody else.
Okay.
Sometimes people want to create a cookbook that helps them market their business. So you can see there, I don't know if you've ever been to Seattle, to the Pike Place Fish Market, and you see the guys throwing fish. So they created a cookbook to help market their business and just to kind of build a deeper relationship with fans of the business.
Right.
So they came up with the Pike Place Fish Guys cookbook, and there's even illustrations and pictures of people throwing fish, plus some really great seafood recipes. So the second kind of book is called, the example there I have as a classic, it's called Tea Time at the Masters. And I think this really kind of fits in with what you're doing. You're trying to preserve a legacy of your aunt's recipes and all the people she taught how to cook and how that impacted the whole community, plus how special it is for your family to have, this great local cook, as part of your family's legacy. So Tea Time at the Masters was put together by the Junior League in Augusta, and they were trying to preserve like the whole Masters experience. They got golf pros to contribute recipes. They got recipes from all the country clubs, and just kind of got those classic dishes that you associate with golf and drinks. So that's a legacy cookbook. Then the third kind of goal that you might have with a cookbook is to share your thought leadership. And so this might happen if you're, you could be a business leader, you could be, some kind of civic leader or, a social leader, or you're at a nonprofit and you're trying to influence what people think and how they act in their community. This example here I have is called VB6. It's Vegan Before 6. Mark Bittman had a column in the New York Times for recipes just for everyday cooking. And then one day his doctor said, you got to get yourself in shape and change the way you eat. And so he went on a vegan diet, but he did it so that he ate vegan for breakfast and lunch, and then for dinner he ate whatever he wanted. Okay, so his book is called Vegan Before 6 o'clock, which is what he did. And it's not just the recipes, but he's sharing his leadership, his thoughts about why you should do this and how to do it and how it benefits you, and here's all the science. So that's kind of like a thought leadership kind of book. So the next kind of goal that you might want is to teach people how to use a product or a service. So you might have like a tomato sauce and you want to give people ideas for different things to do with the tomato sauce besides spaghetti. Or like, for this example, I have the sous vide circulator. And so this book gives you ideas and teaches you how to use a sous vide circulator.
I saw a lady who had a blog. It was all about the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
That's all she did. She taught people how to do recipes just on the Instant Pot.
That's a bit, and those cookbooks are really big sellers. Yeah. So that's another thing.
And that's kind of what we're trying to help people also do, is figure out, like, okay, where's your niche? Where can you really find success?
Exactly. And I think, honestly, there's like a little bit of education in your book too, because your Aunt Carlene has this legacy of teaching people how to cook. And, maybe that might slip in a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the last kind of cookbook, or last goal, is like you might want to share your story. And do you think you have some stories to share here?
Just a few.
All right.
This lady saw me grow up. Like, there's just a few.
Just a few. Well, I hope she'll give us the juicy ones.
I know, right?
So, like the example I have here is from a chef named Alon Shaya in New Orleans, but he's originally from Israel, and he came to the U.S. as a child. And so he shares through the recipes in this narrative in the book, these stories about what it was like to be a kid from Israel coming to the U.S. And how he came to share his cuisine in a place like New Orleans. So those are some of the goals that you have out of your cookbook. So now, and that's really the next question is, what do you think your readers want out of your cookbook?
Well, the recipes that I have are primarily baked goods, so I'm thinking this particular version, I may do more with other recipes. She loved to do a congealed salad of all kinds. I could do a whole recipe book just on congealed salads.
Maybe not.
A not bestseller. But I think, like, if people really wanted to know how to master like Southern cooking of different different baked goods. That's really what she gave me. Here's an archive of all of her best recipes in terms of like pies, cakes, whatever. So it'd be somebody who probably, was raised in the South, may have been raised up on some of these recipes, but never had access to the actual recipe. They just got served that food and loved it. And then, so what I'm hoping is that what I've gotten here is some gold where people who, have tasted this but didn't know how it was made will really love it. So
and it sounds like your aunt has her own following in this community where she taught cooking.
And that's where the people, like, it kind of got out that I was working on this, even though I wasn't. but I intended on working on it. And so she's got former students. I mean, she runs into them at the grocery store almost every time she's out and about. And so there's a lot of following with in her community, former students all over Tennessee and Alabama. And so I think a lot of people are going to be thrilled to get their hands on it.
Okay, that's great. Well, let's take a look at, I want to share with you some of the things that people buy cookbooks, some of the reasons people buy cookbooks. And this can kind of help people focus on their audience.
Yeah.
So everybody knows the number one reason people buy cookbooks is to get a meal on the table, right? So, for example, Smitten Kitchen Every Day is just really good everyday meals, okay? And the second reason people buy cookbooks is because they want to learn something. So the example here I have is Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. And you've probably seen the Netflix show. Yeah,
so
it's a good show.
Yeah, because she's been watching it and not working.
Is that your Netflix queue? Okay.
I mean, that is exactly right, actually.
But if you read the book, you're actually learning how all of these elements influence your cooking, and you're learning how to cook and master those elements to make really great food. So there's that kind of reason people buy cookbooks. A third reason is people want adventure. Like a cookbook is a great way to kind of have a staycation or indulge your wanderlust and go explore a different cuisine and learn about it and just get a hands-on experience with it in your own kitchen, So this example, China, a cookbook, if you can't spring for $3,000 to go explore all the regions of China, then you can take this cookbook and learn about the ingredients and the culture and the flavors. That's really fun. Yeah, absolutely. Then the fourth reason is people love to read cookbooks. Like some people read cookbooks.
I love it.
Like novels. Do you do that?
I do. I love it.
Yeah. Some people do you keep them on your nightstand and read them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people do that. So don't feel embarrassed.
I'll read it before I cook.
Yeah. And then some people read it, like this particular book, The Hungover Cookbook. It is so funny. It's a little book. It's hilarious. I've never cooked out of it. It's just so fun to read. And I think a friend of mine, I turned her on and she gave it away as groomsmen's presents because it's just so funny. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of people just love to read cookbooks, just love the stories, and it's kind of a mental escape.
Yeah.
And then the fifth reason that people buy cookbooks is because they want to collect them. Some people love to collect books for historical value or community value. Okay. Like some people really love collecting those junior league cookbooks and church cookbooks, so kind of the community angle that you have.
Right.
And some people just love that, a beautiful cookbook as the product itself. And it's just like a beautiful package.
Like a coffee table sort of
thing.
Yeah,
like this book, Turquoise, it's a big book. It's a coffee table book. It's got all these pretty ribbons in it, and it's got the foil stamping on the spine there. Yeah. So it's a collector's item. It's kind of like a status symbol. So people experience all of these cookbooks in different ways. So, for example, with these first three types of books, the meals and learning and adventure types of cookbooks, people are looking for make me a hero, help me serve dinner so that everybody at my table loves it and my kids don't complain, and it's really authentic, whatever. Build my confidence. Like if you can teach me how to cook, or if I feel more comfortable with Chinese cooking, or I can really master acid and salt, or build my confidence. Show me something new. teach me a new method, show me how to use a new ingredient or combine new flavors, or a new twist on dinner, so it, break up that rut,
Yeah.
And then also give me a practical guide, So those are some ways that people experience cookbooks. And then with reading and collecting books, people love to be entertained. They love that mental escape.
Yeah.
They love to have their lives enriched. Like, I think that there's a lot of that element in your book, just to have this history kind of enriches your life.
Yeah, right, right. And to have a memory of someone that they knew, some of the audience is really connected to her. And so, it wouldn't matter what the cookbook was, So I think the storytelling but then also some of the practical, like baked goods can go wrong.
Yeah.
They really can.
Yeah.
So, having some technical expertise along with some storytelling, give them a little mental escape, entertain them, with some funny stories. I'm kind of thinking those angles would be appealing to this audience.
I think it'd really mean a lot to people, like if you had her when do people do home ec, like 6th grade?
Middle school, high school.
And then you get her cookbook and you kind of can hear her voice again as you're reading the book and she's telling you how to do things.
Yeah.
That would be really, I think,
it would
special.
Be fun.
Yeah. And then, of course, books are status symbols. So, and I think that this conversation might help us lead into some of the next questions we're going to ask.
Okay.
But, this experience that you decide to create that we're talking about now is going to impact everything about your cookbook. And nailing this down now is going to make all the decisions that you have to make coming up a lot easier.
Yeah, because when you first talked about, we're going to do some sort of background, I thought, well, isn't it just I just get my recipes and throw them together? I really just thought it was that sort of simple. But you were like, well, yeah, you can do that. But for it to be really successful and for your readers to really feel like, they've gotten something of great value, you kind of want to do some of this background work, I mean, if you intend on selling it anyway. So
absolutely, because this not only impacts the decisions about the cookbook that you're making, but all of this will also impact how you market it. This is kind of nailing into your target audience and why they're buying their book, book.
Right.
And then so how do you market it and what's your marketing message is going to be and where do you place it, that kind of thing.
Got it.
So all of these things really do impact everything about your book, including the marketing and sales plan. Okay. So let's keep going down this road.
Yeah.
So that conversation that we were having, I think can kind of tease into this next question, which is, what is your unique magic? What do you have that's unique? Because, there are a lot of baking cookbooks out there. And there are a lot of Southern cookbooks out there.
Exactly.
So what is unique about this book?
Right. Well, I think the uniqueness, I took some time to think about this question because we talked about it a little bit earlier. And I think what makes it unique, or what makes these recipes unique, is really my Aunt Carlene. And what I want to try to capture is the magic of being in her home. And eating the food that she was making, and just the whole environment in her home. If I could share the magic of being in her home with other people through a cookbook, people would be, and it's just a great experience. It's sort of like going to Disney or something. You walk in and there's birds chirping or something out of nowhere, and there's always food cooking, and there's always the most snuggly bed to sleep in at night, and you can really do anything you want, watch anything you want, and it's just the most just magical place. And so I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I think if I can capture some of the magic of just in the warmth of being in her home and being around the dinner table with her and the family, that's really kind of what I think is the unique piece of this is somehow trying to capture that. Not just it's not about the southernness or per se, but somehow capturing that whole experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah. And no, this is good to talk about now because to me, what I love about cookbooks is every cookbook is its own little world. And you're kind of creating this world so that somebody can escape it or experience it, whether they're cooking or they're just reading the stories or browsing. You're giving them just this own little world to go into.
Yes.
And you have to be mindful about creating that world. And so now you know what
It
you want.
doesn't just happen?
No, I wish. But no, like, but now that you've identified what you want to create, now, like, all the decisions that you make from here on, you can be deliberate about, I'm trying to create this. So,
Right. Is this falling under the umbrella of what I'm aiming for, what I've envisioned?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, so now that we've nailed all that down, we're going to get it down on paper.
Okay. See, this seems very formal, but I'm trusting you.
Trust me. Okay.
I'm trusting you.
So the next thing we're going to do is called a proposal.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't want you to be intimidated because we're going to make it really easy.
Okay.
But it's definitely going to be deliberate and it's going to be very helpful for you.
Okay.
So I don't know what you are thinking when you think of proposal. I hope you're not thinking like
Well,
something.
I see the words business plan on this slide.
Well, it's not going to be, because the business plans used to be like a gazillion pages,
Yes.
and book proposals used to be a gazillion pages. We're not going to do that.
That doesn't happen anymore. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it doesn't happen anymore. But we're going to put together a proposal, and the proposal is a business plan and it's a project guide, and that way you can kind of know how you're going to market it and like who you're targeting.
Like if I had a publisher who saw my aunt's book after I'm done and I had this proposal in place and they were interested, like, would it be helpful to have that to give it to them? To
Absolutely.
say, hey, I kind of got it started, but here's kind of what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Is that, okay.
A proposal is how publishing houses buy cookbooks. And so, the proposal, it used to be just a sample of your work, but now publishers really want to know, can you be a business partner? Like, we're going into this venture together, and what are you going to bring to the table? And so it's not just about a product sample, which is your chapter sample, but it's also, who is your audience? How connected are you to them? Can you sell the book? And so it's more of like, how are you as a business partner, not just a product creator.
I see now. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then it also will be a project guide because you're not going to do this alone.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
And you need to keep everybody on the same page. Like we've just talked through what this vision is, and you want everybody who's working with you to have the same vision.
It's true because I have a friend who's a photographer because I'm not a food photographer, so she's offered to help with the photography, and so you're saying all these people that might have a role, they'll kind of know what the vision is.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. And the proposal will help. So let's go through a little bit more about why you need a proposal. We've kind of talked about this, but it'll give you a roadmap. So, with Create My Cookbook, you're self-publishing pretty much. So this is going to give you a roadmap for doing this project through Create My Cookbook. Then it's going to inform your budget. So you're going to write your vision down, and then we're going to go back through and say, okay, you want, 20 pictures. Well, how much is a photographer going to charge you for that? We'll just go through all the different things and figure out what your budget's going to be. And then, does it make sense for you? Do you feel like you can sell that many books to cover your costs and hopefully make some money? That kind of thing.
Got it.
Then the third thing is it's going to help you develop a marketing plan. So we've already kind of talked a little bit about, who your audience is and why are they buying the book. And those are kind of like the beginnings of developing a marketing plan. And you'll flesh that out a little bit more in your proposal.
Are you going to get into that more in later episodes?
Yeah, we'll
here?
definitely do that. Yeah,
Okay.
We don't want to overwhelm you in one half hour. Okay.
Okay.
And then you want to validate your project. So a little bit of what we'll do is we'll kind of look at, who are the other what are the other cookbooks in this area, and how well are they doing? And it kind of validates, hey, I've got something because there's some similar books, and so we can do that. And then it also keeps you motivated. So putting all this down on paper, and kind of we'll put some pictures in there, and we'll have some titles and like an outline. You're kind of be like, oh, this is really cool. I can do this.
Real.
Yeah, it makes it real.
Like when it's just this, it's not real yet.
It's kind of This going to a cookbook kind of looks like. But once you have a proposal, it kind of gives you a roadmap, and you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Okay, awesome.
So, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So the cool thing is, with Create My Cookbook, we have an online proposal form. So you don't have to start from scratch.
Okay.
And you can just go to Create My Cookbook and build your proposal. It's very simple. You just plug in your answers and it will produce a proposal for you.
Oh,
So that's
fantastic.
even easier.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I love it.
That sounds-
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, as long as it's easy, you know.
So,
I've already had
yeah.
a hard time here.
You now have
We're gonna make
homework.
it easy.
You gotta replace just 1 or 2 nights of Netflix with your homework. That's
Okay,
it.
okay,
Everyone
okay.
at home, you have homework as well. We're gonna follow up with an email. It's gonna have a link straight to the proposal. It's free to use, and you just go through it, and we ask the questions. Sean's helped generate this proposal, so it is professional. And once you're done, you send it in, and we will actually format it for you and send it back to you, ready to go. So you're step 1. All right, next week we have coming up how to market your cookbook. So hopefully we'll see everyone next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.